Picture this, a world right on the brink of absolute total annihilation, governed by leaders who are just completely blinded by their own hubris. This is the doomed planet of Krypton. A brilliant scientist named Jor-El stands before the planet's ruling council with an undeniable, frankly terrifying fact. Their world is going to explode in exactly 30 days. He desperately warns them that ignoring their shifting orbit isn't just suicide, it's literal genocide. But the council, they completely dismiss his outlandish theory. In fact, they threaten him with charges of insurrection just for attempting to create a climate of fear. Bound by his word to remain silent and not spread panic, Jor-El realizes his own life and the life of his wife Lara are effectively over. But there is no way they are going to let their newborn son Kal-El die alongside them in this planetary graveyard. Jor-El genuinely believes humanity can be a great people who only lack the light to show the way. This profound, beautiful sentiment really captures the sheer emotional weight of Jor-El and Lara's final act as parents. In this ultimate act of sacrifice and love, they place baby Kal-El into an experimental ship bound for Earth, a primitive planet that is thousands of years behind their own. But they don't send him empty-handed. Embedded in these glowing crystals inside the ship is the total accumulation of all literature and scientific fact spanning 28 known galaxies. Jor-El literally dictates his very essence into the ship, bequeathing his strength and knowledge so his son will never ever truly be alone. He tells his infant son that Earth's atmosphere and weaker gravity are going to make him fast and virtually invulnerable. He is sending Kal-El to be a guiding light for a people with an immense capacity for good. Okay, let's dive right into this journey chronologically. Kal-El's time on Earth kicks off when his rocket crashes deep in the rural heartland back in 1948. He's discovered and adopted by Jonathan and Martha Kent, who name him Clark. They raise him in the quiet town of Smallville, carefully hiding his growing, extraordinary abilities from a world that would absolutely try to take him away. But as he reaches his 18th year, a pivotal tragedy alters his path forever. Following a 12-year educational exodus to the frozen north, which we are going to explore in just a second, this whole timeline culminates in the present day. We see a fully grown Clark Kent arriving in the bustling, chaotic city of Metropolis, stepping into his new job as a mild-mannered reporter at the Daily Planet. But before Metropolis, young Clark had to learn a pretty devastating lesson about the actual limits of his invulnerability. I mean, the guy is faster than a speeding train and can score a touchdown literally every single time he touches a football. But it's his adoptive father, Jonathan Kent, who really anchors him. Jonathan tells him not to show off, instilling this deep, fundamental belief that Clark was placed on this earth for a profound reason. And then, mere moments after this incredibly tender father-son conversation, Jonathan suddenly collapses from a fatal heart attack. It is a deeply ironic and painful truth that visually anchors his earthly humanity. Think about it. Clark has all these magnificent powers, unbelievable speed, strength, invulnerability, and yet he is entirely powerless to save the man who raised him. Grieving and desperately searching for his true purpose, Clark is drawn north, carrying the green crystal from his ship. Out there in the Arctic ice, he constructs the massive Fortress of Solitude. Here, he activates a hologram of his biological father, Jor-El. For 12 Earth years, Jor-El teaches his son the mysteries of the cosmos, the concepts of immortality, and the incredible fragility of the human heart. But as he prepares his son to serve collective humanity, Jor-El repeatedly drills into him one strict, recurring cosmic rule. It is forbidden for you to interfere with human history. It's a hard boundary, one specifically meant to separate a guide from a god. Emerging from that intense 12-year education, Clark joins the Daily Planet and almost immediately faces his first true test. When Lois Lane, a fiercely ambitious reporter, gets trapped in a falling helicopter high above Metropolis, Clark finally sheds that mild-mannered disguise. In an absolutely thrilling public debut, he catches both the falling woman and the helicopter in mid-air. Later that night, he grants Lois an intimate, high-flying interview right on her balcony. He charmingly outlines his vital statistics for her. He's 6'4", weighs around 225 pounds, and hails from the planet Krypton. He reveals his core mission is to fight for truth, justice, and the American way. He also casually drops the fact that, while he can see through almost anything, including noting the color of Lois's underwear, he actually cannot see through lead. Meanwhile, a very different kind of genius is operating 200 feet below Park Avenue. Enter Lex Luthor. He's a cynical, oddly comedic, and utterly diabolical criminal mastermind. He intentionally surrounds himself with bumbling henchmen like Otis and Eve Teschmacher, which perfectly contrasts his own self-proclaimed brilliance. You see, Luthor has this obsession with the number 200.
He operates 200 feet below ground, he claims a weight of exactly 200 pounds, and most dangerously, he boasts a towering IQ of 200. So while the Man of Steel is operating up in the sky, Luthor is down there scheming in the subterranean depths, plotting out what he calls the greatest real estate swindle of all time. And here is exactly how that 200 IQ translates into pure evil. Let's break down Luthor's diabolical master plan. Step 1. Buy up thousands of acres of worthless desert land east of the San Andreas Fault for absolutely pennies. Step 2. Hijack and reprogram 2 military nuclear missiles, 1 Army, 1 Navy. Step 3. Detonate those 500 megaton missiles directly on the fault line's optimum stress point. And Step 4. Watch the catastrophic earthquake cause the entire west coast of California to literally fall into the sea, instantly transforming Luthor's previously worthless desert into the new immensely valuable west coast shoreline. Welcome to Costa de Lex. Millions of innocent people will die just so Luthor can make a fortune in real estate. But Luthor knows his master plan has one flying caped obstacle. Using his deductive brilliance, Luthor pieces together Superman's origins straight from Lois Lane's interview. He figures if Krypton exploded in 1948 and it took Superman 3 years to reach Earth, fragments of that destroyed planet must have drifted here as meteorites. He identifies a specific meteorite recently discovered in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Because its specific level of radioactivity perfectly matches the destroyed planet, Luthor deduces that this glowing green rock, kryptonite, is the one and only substance lethal to the Man of Steel. So he sets a trap. Luthor lures Superman into his underground lair by broadcasting a high-frequency threat about a poison gas pellet that'll wipe out half of Metropolis. When Superman arrives, he effortlessly bypasses the machine guns and fire. Luthor casually points him to a lead-encased box. Remembering Superman can't see through lead, Luthor just waits until Superman opens it to reveal the kryptonite. As Superman collapses in agonizing pain, Luthor takes the deadly glowing rock and drapes it around his neck like a necklace, delivering this chilling line. It's a little souvenir from the old hometown. He then shoves the weakened hero right into his indoor pool to drown, exactly as the twin military missiles hurtle uncontrollably toward their targets, Hackensack, New Jersey, and the San Andreas Fault out in California. As Superman is literally struggling for breath underwater, salvation comes from a completely unlikely source. Eve Teschmacher, Luthor's glamorous accomplice, is absolutely horrified to learn that one of the missiles is heading straight for Hackensack, New Jersey, which happens to be where her mother lives. Knowing Luthor doesn't care at all, she pulls Superman from the pool and takes off the kryptonite. But she does it under one very strict condition. Superman must promise to stop the New Jersey missile first to save her mother. Because he never lies, Superman gives his word. He rockets into the sky, but honoring this promise means he has to momentarily abandon California, losing incredibly precious time. While Superman is intercepting the Army missile high in the East Coast sky and pushing it out into deep space, the clock is rapidly running out on the West Coast. Exactly 15 seconds to impact. 14. The military radar operators can only watch in helpless horror. Superman is thousands of miles away. Even flying at supersonic speeds, the distance is just too great. The missile strikes target zero. The massive explosion violently activates the San Andreas Fault, triggering a catastrophic earthquake that literally begins tearing the state of California apart. The Earth physically splits wide open. The Golden Gate Bridge trembles, a passenger train derails, and a massive dam completely bursts, violently flooding the valley below. Superman arrives in this frantic, desperate race against nature. He acts as the Earth's glue, literally flying deep down into the fault line to physically push the massive tectonic plates back together. He welds train tracks with his heat vision and catches a falling school bus. He is everywhere at once, acting like a god saving humanity. But out in the barren desert, Lois Lane's car runs out of gas. A massive fissure opens up, swallowing her car and burying her alive under tons of dirt and debris. By the time Superman finally clears the rubble, he agonizingly pulls her lifeless body from the wreckage. He is too late. Now, what's really interesting about this moment is the immense ideological clash echoing in Superman's mind as he screams in raw, unadulterated grief over the woman he loves. On one side, you have the cold, cosmic logic of his Kryptonian father, Jor-El. It is forbidden to interfere with human history. And on the other side, the warm, grounded faith of his Earth father, Jonathan Kent. You are here for a reason. He vividly remembers standing there helplessly as Jonathan died, possessing all the power in the world but unable to use it. Now, faced with losing Lois, the god from the stars and the boy from Smallville are caught in an ultimate collision of duty versus love. And in a moment of pure emotional rebellion, he makes his choice, completely defying his biological father's strictest rule. Superman launches himself high into the stratosphere,
Propelling himself at an almost limitless, blinding speed, he begins to circle the globe. He flies so incredibly fast that he pushes against the very fabric of physics, forcing the Earth's rotation to actually reverse. He is literally turning back time. The dam unbursts, the massive fault line seals up, and the Earth completely retreats from Lois Lane's car. He breaks the fundamental laws of the universe just to resurrect the woman he loves, proving once and for all that his human heart is way stronger than any Kryptonian doctrine.
So, with the crisis finally averted and Lois totally alive and well, our story concludes at a maximum security prison. Superman casually swoops right into the prison yard, delivering a humiliated Lex Luthor and Otis directly to the warden. When the warden thanks him for keeping the country safe, Superman just simply replies, "We're all part of the same team," and flies off into the night sky. He's a being capable of reversing time itself, yet he views himself simply as a teammate to humanity. Which leaves us with this final striking thought. If you possess the limitless power of a god, but carried the fragile, grieving heart of a human, how far would you go to save the one you love?